نصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Now we're going to look at this week's notes from the second page, where the subsection or the subtopic is types of wealth on which zakat is farz and obligatory. Now before we look at that particular section, just a quick recap of what we discussed in last week's lesson. Now I mentioned that zakat is something which is obligatory on mature people, on mature boys, on mature girls, i.e. on men and women. And it's also obligatory on those people who are saying you have to be Muslim, so on and so forth. And then I went on to mention that zakat is obligatory on that individual who owns wealth which is equivalent to nisab. Now, who wants to explain the word or the term nisab? Who wants to explain that? What does nisab mean? How would you explain or define nisab?
It's a required amount of bulk which you need to pay.
Yeah, so like a threshold basically. So it's like a limit that if you have this much amount of money, you will have to give zakat. So it's not like, you just have £100 saving, that's it, you have to give zakat, or you only have £50 savings, you have to give zakat. It's a specific or a particular amount or a threshold which you need to have for zakat to be obligatory. And can you remember how much the amount is? I know it fluctuates, but can you remember the amount I made you write last week? Was it £366? Yeah, obviously probably be, I don't know, a bit expensive this week or a bit less. So the nisab approximately is £366. The amount, the value of silver basically is around £366. So that is the nisab. So if somebody has that much amount of wealth, i.e. equivalent to £366 or more, then zakat will be obligatory and farz. So this is what we looked at in last week's lesson, and also some other additional conditions I've mentioned with regards to nisab. Now, from this week's notes or lessons, we're going to look at the title which is on the second page and also on the board in front of us. And that is that the types of wealth on which zakat is farz. So on which things do you give zakat? Now, if we have a look at rule number 1, it's mentioned that zakat is farz on gold and silver, be it in the form of jewelry, cash, banknotes, utensils, or any other form. So basically, first and foremost, first rule here is that if you have gold or silver, you have to give zakat on that. Okay? Whether the gold is in form of jewelry, so whether it's in form of like gold bangles, gold necklaces, gold rings, or whether it's in form of, say, utensils like gold pots or gold, what we call like plates, sometimes we have for show and so on. So what I'm trying to say is that any form of gold which a person or an individual possesses, zakat will be obligatory, zakat will be farz. Okay? Now, a couple of rulings which we need to look at here. First ruling is jewelry. Okay, so like necklaces, bangles, and so on. Okay, so just a couple of rulings which we need to look at. Okay, now as you know, gold necklaces, gold bangles, these are things which a Muslim man is not allowed to wear. Okay, so generally speaking, for many Muslims, gold jewelries, gold necklaces, gold bangles, a man doesn't have to give zakat on them. Why? Because he's not allowed to wear them. But if a woman, or say for example a wife, if she possesses gold necklaces or she has gold bangles, gold rings and so on, then she herself is responsible of giving zakat. It's her responsibility to give zakat, not the husband's. It's actually hers because she owns the gold, she owns the necklaces, she owns the bangles, she owns the rings. So it will be the wife's responsibility, the responsibility of the Muslim sister to give zakat. Now, obviously, I think I may have mentioned this point last week that what normally happens in our Asian families that the husband tends to give it on her behalf. So as long as she consents to it, as long as she allows it and permits it, then that would be permissible. But looking at it strictly speaking, the rule is that these necklaces, these bangles, these jewelries, because they are owned by the wife, they are owned by the sister, the woman, it's her responsibility to give the zakat. Obviously, if the husband wants to give it out of her own will, then that's different. But it's her responsibility, her sole responsibility to give the zakat. Okay, so that's one ruling here. Now another ruling, I'll come back, I'll give it a chance. Now another ruling here is jewelries or gold necklaces or bangles or these kind of things for one's daughter, like for your own daughter. Now, again, the same rule applies that if the daughter, let's say you have a daughter and she's mature, she's like reached the age of puberty, she's mature, then again, strictly speaking, it's her responsibility to give the zakat. Okay. However, if the father was to give it on her behalf, then that would be permissible. The third ruling here is slightly different, similar, but just like the technicality which we're going to use here. Just say you've got a daughter, or there's a girl, or just say a daughter, who's hasn't reached the age of puberty. So just say she's like 8 years old. And as again is the culture, is that a father may buy some gold, like to say a gold necklace for his 8-year-old daughter, or like a gold ring for his 8-year-old daughter, a gold bangle or earrings for his 8-year-old daughter. Now the ruling is that if the father had given his immature daughter the responsibility, like he said to her, okay, this is the earring, you look after yourself. Okay, generally speaking, the father won't do that because obviously it's something like expensive like gold, you're not going to give it to an 8-year-old daughter, you just like look after it and take it. But just say if he has, then that 8-year-old daughter would not have to give zakat. Yeah, why? Why do you think she doesn't have to give zakat? Because
She owns him. And she's not.
yeah, she hasn't reached the age of puberty. Understood that? So this example, there's an 8-year-old daughter or a 9-year-old daughter or even a 10-year-old daughter who hasn't reached the age of puberty, and the father basically goes to the daughter and says, yeah, these are the earrings, these are the bangles, you look after it, I can't be bothered looking after it, yeah? Or the mother says to the daughter, you look after it, it's your responsibility. Then if that is the case where the daughter, the young daughter has been made the owner of the jewelries, of the bangles and so on, then because she is below the age of puberty, she doesn't have to give zakat. Okay, it's not obligatory for her to give zakat. However, if the daughter who's below the age of puberty and the father, he's still the owner of the jewelry, or just say the mother, she's still the owner of the jewelry, but it's like say at weddings or at Eid time, you know, the father just gives it to the daughter and say, oh, you could wear it for today, or you could wear it for this particular wedding. So in that situation, because the father is still the owner of the jewelry, is still owner of the bangles, of the necklaces, it will be the father's responsibility to give the zakat. Understood that? So you know this masla here about who will give the zakat for immature girls' jewelries, it all depends on this technicality in terms of who is the owner of the jewelry. If the father is the owner of the jewelry, like he keeps it somewhere safe, or the mother, she keeps it somewhere safe, and it's only on special occasions the mother or the father gives it to their daughters to wear it, then it will be the fathers and mothers. They will have to give zakat. Okay, so when the father and mother, when they calculate their zakatable assets, they will also add the value of the gold as well. However, if the father and mother have actually given ownership, transferred ownership of the jewelries to their immature children, said, you know what, it's yours, you could do whatever you want with it, then that particular girl, she will be the owner of the jewelry, of the gold, but because she hasn't reached the age of puberty, she doesn't have to give zakat on that amount. Okay? Any questions? You had a question? Or?
It might have been answered before. Okay. So,
okay, no problem.
It's just basically if it's permissible for a man to pay on a woman's behalf.
Yeah.
For her gold.
Yeah.
What if does it become obligatory if she is not earning anything? if she has the gold, she doesn't earn anything. Does that mean that then the man has to pay?
Like obviously, the ruling is that if a woman just say she has gold, which is more than the 87.48 grams, okay, she will have to give zakat. Now, obviously, just say the only thing this woman or this sister possesses is just gold. She doesn't have any money at all. Now, again, strictly speaking, the rule is that that sister will have to like sell that gold, okay, and then get the cash, and then use the cash to give the zakat. That's what she will have to do, strictly speaking. Obviously, if the husband says, okay, I'll pay on your behalf, you don't have to actually sell the gold, then that's also considered permissible. But just say if she doesn't have a husband or there's no one there to pay for it, then what will the sister will have to do, strictly speaking, is actually sell the gold, get the cash, and then however much it is, she will have to give that for zakat.
Anyway, they get the child benefit, don't they?
Okay. Yeah. Well, child benefits for child.
She's not zakat until
Okay. All right. Any other questions, or what do you think zakat will be wajib if somebody has a gold teeth or something? What do you reckon? Say somebody's got a gold teeth, do you have to give zakat? Especially if it's say it's quite heavy and it's more than 87.48 grams, does he have to give zakat on that?
So like everyday use, so you don't have to give it.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, because like it depends. Like obviously, the rule is that if he could, if it's part of the teeth, meaning like it's stuck on like it is nowadays, then he doesn't have to give zakat because, as he mentioned quite rightly, it's like everyday use. However, if it's one of those things like he could take it off, like I don't know if it's one of those like you could take it off easily, then it's considered to be more like adornment. Does that make sense? More like adornment, like gold bangles, gold rings and stuff. So therefore, if the gold teeth, if it's equivalent to 87.48 grams, then he will have to give zakat on that.
Is a man allowed to put gold?
He will be allowed. In the Hanafi fiqh, the ruling is that you should try to use silver. But the problem with silver is that it causes a foul smell. Like, over time, the silver rots and it gives a foul smell in the mouth. So in that situation, you can use gold. Okay, the next ruling, rule number 2, he goes on to say, I think this is similar to what we mentioned above, that if the gold possessed is not equal to the value of 87.48 grams, or silver possessed, so just somebody has a little bit of silver, which is not equal to 612.36 grams, but the value of both combined is equal to the value of either the nisab of gold or silver, then zakat will be first. Okay, understood that? So now I'll just give you an example on the board to explain this rule number 2. Now just say for example, somebody's got 50 grams of gold. Yeah? And just say for example, he's got 600 grams of silver. Okay. Now when we analyze each one of them, zakat isn't obligatory. Now why? Why do you think zakat isn't obligatory? But the safe why? Why do you think zakat isn't obligatory if we were to look at them individually?
Not above the.
Yeah, very good. They're not equivalent to or above the nisab, because remember you need to have 87.48 grams of gold for zakat to be wajib. This person just say he's got or she's got a bangle, say, which is just say weighs 50 gram, or a ring which only weighs 50 gram. Similarly, the silver, it has to be 612.36 grams before zakat becomes wajib on silver. But that person or that man or woman, they only have 600 grams of silver. Now in that situation, the rule then goes on to say that, however, the value of both, if you were to combine them or add them up, it's equivalent to the nisab, then in that situation you will have to give zakat, you will have to give 2.5% of that. Does that make sense? So I'll just give you an example. Just say for argument's sake, 50 grams of gold is worth, say, 200 pounds. Just imagine 50 grams of gold, the value of that is 200 pounds. And just say the 600 grams of silver, that is worth, say, 200 pounds as well. Yeah, obviously gold tends to be a bit more expensive. So 50 gram of gold is £200, and 600 grams of silver is also worth £200. Now, as I said, individually, you don't have to give zakat. Yeah, because you haven't reached the threshold. So you only got 50 grams of gold, there's no zakat. You only got 600 grams of silver, there's no zakat. However, when we look at the value of 50 gram of gold and the value of 600 grams of silver, and both of them equals to £200, so what you'll then do is that you'll then add them up together, i.e. you got £400. So what will then happen is that because £400 is more than the nisab amount of 366, so you will have to give 2.5% of that. Okay? Have you understood that? Over?
So does it still apply if, say, for example, 10 grams of gold is worth, if the prices goes up,
Yeah.
and 10 grams of gold is equal to, say, for argument's sake, £1,000,
Yeah.
then it doesn't matter about the
Yeah.
87 point.
Yeah. Yes. If you just got 10 grams, just 10 grams of gold, yeah, then you don't have to give zakat.
But what if the value of that is more
No,
than...
yeah, it doesn't matter. Even though the value is more than £366, it has to be gold and silver both together. You then combine them together. If somebody, it's a good question you raised, that just say, for example, you got no silver, and just say there's someone, like just select the woman, she only owns 50 grams of gold. Now, even though the value of that is way above the nisab, she doesn't have to give zakat. Does that make sense? She doesn't have to give zakat. Why? Because she doesn't have the threshold. Same with the silver as well. That you just got 600 grams of silver. She hasn't got 612. So therefore, again, she doesn't have to give zakat. The only time we combine the value is if it's gold with silver, or just say, for example, you've got a bit of gold and you've got cash. Yeah, just say, for example, like you've got, say, £500 savings, and then you've got, like, say, a bit of gold, say 50 gram of gold, which is worth £200. So then we combine them together. Okay, what I'm trying to say is that, you know, this ruling which I just mentioned, it has to be like combined with something. Either we combining the gold with the silver, gold with cash, or silver with cash. It has to be like that. If you just like everything individually, like just say you got gold, you only have gold which is less than 87.48 grams, there's no zakat. Or you just have cash which is less than 366 pounds, there's no zakat. Or you just got silver which is less than like 612 grams of silver, there's no zakat. Okay, so if it's individually, then there's no zakat. But if it's together, then you'll have to give zakat. Like you combine the value and then you'll give zakat. Any questions on that? Or yeah. Okay, good.
Sorry.
Gigi.
Just to reiterate, I
Richard.
understood, but still, it's very important, like you say. So if someone wants to get away with saying we have less than 7 tulab, but they have £600 into their account, so they will have to pay £600. They will have to add the price
Of
for
the
700 gold plus the 600.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
So they'll have to do that, yeah. I think that's what people do. We tend to add everything up here. Okay, good. Okay, rule number 3. It just explains that in the event of an article not being pure gold or pure silver, because remember we give zakat on pure gold and pure silver, yeah? But if it's a mixture of other metals, then the ruling is that it will be regarded, it's mixture of other metals, and the gold or silver is more than the other metal, it will be regarded as gold or silver, and zakat on this will be fard. Understood that? So just say, for example, like there's like a ring. Now, that ring, just say that ring here, a gold ring, just say, it has to, what we mean by more, it means more than 50%. So just say if 60% of that ring is gold, like pure gold, and the other 40% is like made of other metals, like copper, nickel, these kind of things. So because more than 50% of it is gold, so that ring here would be considered as a gold ring. Yeah, it'll be considered as a gold ring. So the entire value or the weight will be considered as gold. Okay, even though like it's only 60% of it is gold, other 40% is like from other metals. But when it comes to calculating zakat, we'll consider the entire ring to be zakatable. All right, so just say if the entire ring Because obviously by adding the other metal, it may make it a bit more heavy. It doesn't matter. It will now be considered as part of the gold nisab. Okay. And so as I was saying, that it has to be 50% because there's a very famous rule in the fiqh principle that akthar li hukmil kull, which means that the majority is considered to be as the whole. So the borderline here is 50%. So anything less than 50%, so just say if there was like 40% gold and 60% other metals, then that would not be considered as a gold ring anymore. It would be just considered as like normal metals, and zakat isn't obligatory on metals. Yeah, so it has to be 50%. So 50% or more, if it's gold, it will be considered as zakatable. It will be considered as a gold ring or a gold necklace or a gold bangle. You will have to give zakat on that. Anything less than 50% of gold, then there's no zakat on that particular amount. Any questions on that? Or
Do you know, like 9 karat gold, do you know what percentage of the gold is guaranteed?
yeah, you'll have to,
I think it's less than 50%.
yeah. So you'll have to work it out like that. Yeah, like something like platinum, like I've got like platinum. You know, the same. It depends on red. You know, those red white gold or something, red white gold or something, whatever it's called. So you just need to check how much gold there is. If it's more than 50%. Then the zakat will be obligatory. If it's less than that, then zakat would not be obligatory. That's the same rule also when it comes for platinum jewelry, because platinum is actually a mixture of gold and other metals. So you need to find out how much gold exactly there is. You probably have to ask the goldsmith or something like that. Any questions or? Okay. Good. Okay. Rule number 4. Zakat is farz on merchandise for business equal to the value of nisab. Okay, now we'll come back to rule zakat on merchandise right at the end of the course. There's a section about zakat on merchandise. But basically rule number 4 is saying that zakat on merchandise, so anything which is for business purposes, so it could be like mobile phones you have. I explained this rule last week as well, that mobile phone in itself, that's not zakatable. It's not gold, silver, it's not cash. But if somebody, say for example, is doing a mobile phone business, so he's got like hundreds of mobile phones, so he will have to give zakat on that. And in a nutshell, the way you calculate the zakat is that, you just calculate the value of the mobile phone. So just say you got 1,000 mobile phones, so you just like calculate, you just say it's worth, the current market value, just say it's worth, I don't know, say £100,000. So you just give 2.5% of that. Okay, so the same with laptops, cars, if you're dealing in cars or dealing in bags or mobile phones, whatever, pens, you add it up. And obviously if it's more than nisab, that's important as well. Just say if you've got a small shop, whatever, and the stock which you have is actually less than £366, you don't have to give zakat. But if what you have, the merchandise, the stock, and what you're selling it for, what the current market value is, if you add it up and it's over £366, you will have to give zakat. Okay? Any questions? Or we'll look at that in detail later, inshallah. Number 5, zakat is also farz on livestock. So livestock here means like cows, camels, horses, sheep, and so on. Obviously, it doesn't really apply to us. Obviously, apply to in Bangladesh and all these other countries, but obviously to us it won't apply. But you have to give zakat on them as well. Okay? There are certain conditions, but just generally speaking, it is obligatory as long as certain conditions are found. Okay, number 6. Zakat is farz on the income of properties if it is equal to the value of nisab. Okay, so the income from properties. Now, there's 2 rulings which I want to mention. Okay, well, 3 rulings altogether. First ruling is just say somebody is like selling houses for business, or just say it's like a property, one of the property guys, like property developer, or sells houses, he buys houses and sells houses. So like we just mentioned with mobile phones and so on, so somebody who's like who sells or buys houses, yep, how will that person give zakat? So what would the answer be? How would he give zakat? How would he calculate his zakat? What will he do?
Is it on his profit margin?
No, it won't be. No, he won't profit. He will. What will he do? It's similar to what I explained with mobile phones. You just say if he's got 10 houses,
He'll estimate.
yeah, he'll value, or like he calculate the value of each house. So just say equals to like say £1 million. Then what will you do? He will just give 2.5% of that, okay? Yeah. So that's for someone who's buying and selling houses. Exactly same as say, you're buying and selling laptops. Just say this guy's doing in a more grander scale. He's buying and selling houses, yeah? So what will he do? However many houses he has, he'll calculate the value and he'll just have to give 2.5% of that, okay? So that's one ruling. Okay, second ruling is somebody's got a house or property, whatever, building, and just say he owns it outright in terms of it's a freehold property. He doesn't have to give mortgages or something like that. That's rule number 3, I'll explain. But he just owns it. He doesn't have to give any mortgage or anything like that. So he's getting like income in terms of rent from the house, or he's getting rent from that building, or just say it's like a shop, whatever. So he's getting rent from that. So the way this person will give zakat is at the end of the year, whatever rent he has taken, the rent he's receiving, if it's equivalent to the nisab, which generally speaking it's going to be, because obviously if he's renting it out for the year, I'm sure it's going to be more, he's going to charge more than £366, then that person will have to give 2.5% of that. So just say he's renting out, say, this space here to like for a shop to someone. So just say per annum he's getting, I don't know, like say £10,000. So he will have to give 2.5% of that. Okay, so that's the. Does that make sense? Because obviously remember the second scenario, he's not paying mortgage. He's just like, this is all profit here. So whatever he gets, he will have to give zakat on that 2.5%. Now the third ruling, which we need to look at in a bit more detail, is just say, for example, somebody, he's got a house, like he's bought a house. Just say he's got 2 houses. One house he's living in, the other house he's renting it out, as a lot of people do. And then this person, he's getting rent from the tenants who are living there, but the whatever rent he's using, it's all going for the mortgage. Okay, it's all going, like he's going to pay the mortgage, yeah? Now, in that third situation, the income this guy is getting, in general, he doesn't have to give zakat on that. Why? Because the amount of the income he's getting, it's all being given for the mortgage, yeah? So obviously, mortgage is like a debt in a way. So he's like paying off the debt, so he doesn't have to give zakat on that amount. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's like, in principle what I just explained. So anyone like who's getting rent from any tenants, so the rent you get, and if you're using it for the mortgage and you're just giving it to the mortgage, then you don't have to give zakat on that rent. Why? Because you don't have it. You're just giving it for the rent. Okay, everyone understood that so far? Okay, now I'm just going to elaborate on this a bit more in detail. We'll probably come back to you later, but as we just touched on houses and rent and mortgage, just explaining now, is a very common question which people ask is at the when they come to calculate the zakat, which is that I've got this much amount of savings, but I'm paying X amount for the mortgage. So do I have to give zakat, or how much do I take away? How much do I deduct from the zakatable assets and so on? So it's like a common question which people ask. Now, obviously, it's a separate issue here whether mortgages are permissible or not. So I don't want to obviously get myself into that. But the question here is that, so just for example, somebody, so this is his zakat sheet, right? So he's calculated all his savings, whatever he owns, property, gold, jewelry, and so on. And this person, just say he's got £10,000 savings or £10,000 zakatable assets. Yeah, so savings, jewelry, gold, businesses, whatever. He's adding that up and it's £10,000. Okay. Now there are 2 types of loans, yeah, in Islam. One is what we call like a long-term loan, and one is like a short-term loan. Now mortgage, it's a loan, yeah. It's like a qard, it's a debt, but it falls under a long-term loan. Meaning that, the amount of mortgage you're gonna have, just say it's like £50,000. You don't have to pay it like tomorrow. You don't have to pay it next week. That £50,000 mortgage is over a number of years. It's over like say 30 years or 40 years or 25 years. So that mortgage, it's over a number of years, okay? Now when you look at it, if you're going to go strictly according to the books of Fiqh, then what would happen is that no Muslim in the UK would be giving zakat. Because look, just say if a Muslim's got like £10,000 savings, but he's living in a house on mortgage, and just say he's got like a £30,000 mortgage, so what's going to happen? Like the debt, the mortgage is what? More than his savings. And we read before, or we read like, if you got debt which is more than your savings, you don't have to give zakat. Now, if you're going to, keep it, if you're going to be proper, like strictly speaking, according to the books and, black and white, what he says in the book, what would happen? No Muslim in the UK will be giving zakat, because a lot of Muslims have houses on zakat, and the amount of mortgage they've got on their house easily overpowers the savings which they have. So no one in the UK, in the world, you could say, would be giving zakat, or only a handful of people will be giving zakat. So therefore, what the scholars have done, in particular the contemporary scholars, is that they've said that, okay, what we will do when it comes to mortgages is that, the annual installment which you have to pay, the yearly installment. Obviously, you normally pay mortgage monthly, but just say if you were to add it up, just say £200 every month, and it adds up to £1,400, yeah,
2,400.
yeah, sorry, 2,400, yeah. So so 2,400. So what you will do is that 2,400, you will deduce, take away that, subtract that from the £10,000. Okay, so you're not going to subtract, say, 30,000 from 10,000, because you won't be giving zakat. But what will you do is that the annual installment which you have to give for mortgage. So just say it's like you give £200 a month, so it works out to 2,400. So you will take that away from £10,000, which might be wrong. Is it 7,600?
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a long day, actually. 7,600. Okay, so you'll have to give zakat on that. Okay, does that make sense?
Sorry, I missed Sheikh. How did you get 10,000? Sorry.
Just say 10,000 is like a figure. It's like an example. It's just like a random figure. Just say a person's savings.
Okay, savings.
Is around £10,000.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
So the annual installment,
Okay.
Which you were supposed to give for the mortgage,
Okay.
you will just take that away from 10,000.
Saving.
Yeah, savings. Just say that year's savings is 10,000, or whatever you possess,
Okay.
or whatever is zakatable is 10,000. So you take that away, and the remaining 7,600 you will be giving zakat. Any questions on that one, or?
One question.
Yeah, sure.
On a property developer.
Okay.
If it's not liquid asset, say, argument's sake, somebody has 10 houses, but they haven't been able to sell those houses, but they don't have the money equal to 2.5%. They only have.
It's similar to what I mentioned about the gold. They'll have to or they don't have to do it, but they'll have to then sell the property, one of the properties, to then get the thingy. Because zakat is something you should give it straight away, but you can delay. So if you can't give it this year, you could give it next year.
Could you give a person, say, if you have 10 houses, give one house as a zakat?
Yeah, you could. We'll look at it later. Actually, you can do that. Yeah, you can do that. You can actually give it to the poor. So you get a poor person and say, okay, this is your house. This is zakat. That will be allowed. You don't have to give money all the time. Normally, generally, we tend to give money because it's much easier, and it quickly fulfills the need of the poor. So that's why scholars do say that money is more better. But you don't have to give money. You could give rice. You could give barley, wheat. Houses, or say, for example, books. You could even buy books. Dini books, like religious books, and give it to a poor student. You could buy Qurans and give it to a poor student. That's all allowed.
So it will be 2.5% on the 7,600.
It's 7,600, yeah.
Yeah, 2.5%.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Rule number 7. Zakat is first on the income derived from a hiring business, such as motor cars, vans, trucks, and so on. Okay. Okay. So that's straightforward. So just say if you renting out cars, vans, trucks, and so on, even like houses. So the rent which you get from there, you will have to give zakat on that. Okay. The next subtopic is types of wealth on which zakat is not first. Yeah. Okay. So those things where you don't have to give zakat. Yeah. So things which you don't have to give zakat on. Okay. Number 1, zakat is not first on any other metal besides gold and silver. So any metal like copper, nickel, or just say, for example, like you get like fake gold or fake silver. So because it's not real gold, it's not pure silver, it's just like other metals mixed together, and they give in, and it gives you that kind of gold color, then because they're not pure gold or silver in reality, so you don't have to give zakat on that. So what I'm trying to say, that any other metals besides gold and silver, there's no zakat. Rule number 2, there is no zakat on diamonds, pearls, other precious or semi-precious stones which are for personal use. You see that? So diamonds, these kind of things, rubies, these kind of things, there's no zakat. Remember, there's only 3 things I said: gold, silver, and cash. Yeah. Anything else like diamonds, even though they're very expensive, there's no zakat on them. These kind of stones, there's no zakat on those kind of things. He says at the bottom, there is no zakat on imitation jewelry, basically fake jewelries and stuff. Yeah, fake gold bangles, say, so you don't have to give zakat on them. Rule number 3, there is no zakat on any number of living quarters, household furnitures, crockery, personal clothing, whether they are in use or not. So again, we read before, like any kind of household furnitures, pots, pans, laptops, these kind of things, televisions, these kind of things, you don't have to give zakat on that. Settees, sofas, you may have a leather sofa, worth, more than £366, but you don't have to give zakat on that. Why? Because they're all personal use. And number 4, there is no zakat on a person whose liabilities exceed or equal his assets. Okay, so basically, if you've got liabilities, we're going to look at this a bit more later, debt. So if you've got debt which is more than your savings, you don't have to give zakat. Okay, so just say you've got £10,000 savings, but you've got £10,000 debt, or you owe someone £10,000 or more than £10,000, you don't have to give zakat. All right, if you've got, say, liability which is less than your savings, so say you got like £8,000 debt, so you will then have to give zakat on the remaining £2,000. Okay, so that's like straightforward. Now, I'm just going to take this opportunity and just touch on 2 rulings here, which I haven't mentioned there, but you could just make a note of it. Haram wealth, yeah. Now remember, there is no zakat on haram wealth. So any wealth or income which is haram, all right, and it's haram, like say for example interest money. So just say for example you've been separating your interest money. So just say you've got like, just say in your bank account, that say £500 is pure money, but say £100 is interest. Just say you've been like adding your interest money every statement you receive. So do you know the £100 which is interest money, there is no zakat. Okay, so what do you do with interest money? Does anybody know what you do with interest money? Just leave it there, or what do you do?
Do you give it back?
No, you take it out. You should take it out, but then give it to the poor without the intention of reward and thawab. Yeah, keep that in mind. So interest money, the recipients of interest money are the poor people. So you get the interest money, so you shouldn't actually leave it there. Use it for the benefit of the Muslims. So what you do is that you get it out, and then you give it to the poor with the intention of reward and thawab.
You shouldn't be taking it in the first place.
No, yeah, you shouldn't be taking, you shouldn't be taking it. But if obviously, like some people, they will have like Lloyds and Barclays and stuff, those kinds. So they do give it sometimes. So that's what you'll have to do. Now, now you may be thinking that why are we giving interest money to the poor? You may be thinking that we should like to take it and just like throw in the bin. Why are we giving interest money to the poor? Does anybody know why we give it to the poor? Yeah. Okay. The reason why is that when you look at interest money, it's like lost objects. It's like missing objects. It's like an Arabic term called lukata. That if you find any lost items or like lost money, just say you're walking on the street and you find like a £20 note. So you call that lukata. It's like a lost or a missing object. Now, whenever you find something like a lost object or lost money, you should try to make announcement like, try to find the owner. And if you can't find the owner, then what you should do is you should give it to the poor without the intention of thawab. Now, exactly as well with interest money, because interest money which you're getting, it's from so many millions of customers, and they've like taken it here, there, they've invested it, and so on, and then you're getting the interest money. So because you can't identify the real and the original owner, so what you do is that you then take it and then give it to the poor without the intention of thawab and reward. Okay. All right, so as I was saying, going back to the rule, there's no zakat on haram wealth, yeah? So haram wealth, you just take it out and you just give it to the poor without intention of thawab, yeah? Or this is somebody's gambling or something like that. So he earned a lot of money through gambling. So again, you don't give zakat on that. You just give it to the poor. I did touch on it last week about, Allah accepting only pure wealth. So you shouldn't give zakat on those things. Now, this then takes me on to another ruling, rule number 2, about pension funds. Okay, pension funds. Time for pension, no?
Time to get married now.
Get married. Okay, pension funds. Okay. Okay, so pension funds, yeah. Now there's there's actually 3 situations altogether. Now there are some situations where, do you know, the government by law, I'm not sure about whether it works in this country, but in some countries they do have this by law, that, do you know, the government by law, they take from the employee's wages. So, do you know, from his wages, they take it from his wages and they put it in a pension fund for that employee. Okay, so the government do this by law. Would this be the national, something about the pension contribution or something, or do when you get the pay slip you get?
National insurance.
Is that what it goes into? Or?
I don't know if it goes. No, pension is separate. Isn't it?
It is separate.
There's a national pension contribution. I can't remember the exact term.
Yeah.
Do my idea. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So I think I think when you get when you get a pay slip, I think there's actually mentioned there. There's PI or so.
Yeah. There's one way you don't have to make any payments. They make it.
Yeah, they make it. Yeah.
There's no payments coming from you.
From you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as I was saying, that there's some like the government, they deduct it by law. They take it from without you actually have to do it. They actually deduct it themselves. Now, in that case, then what happens is that obviously when you reach the age of pension, which 65 I think is 65, yeah, so they give you a lump sum. So the ruling is that you don't have to give zakat on the pension which you receive. Does that make sense? Let me just clarify that again. So if the government by law, they deducting zakat, they're deducting money, they're taking out money from your wages, and then they using it for your pension, and that when you reach the age of 65, they just giving you a lump sum, that this is like £20,000, whatever your pension, then you don't have to give zakat on that. So during that £20,000 you receive, you don't have to give zakat on the previous years. That's not necessary. That's number one. The second situation is that not the government, but the employer, from the employee's wages, they take some money and then they put it in their kind of, pension funds.
Private pension.
Yeah, private pension. Yeah, good. Okay, so the employer, from the employee's wages, the first example is of government doing it. Is the employer from the employee's wages take it and then they put it into a pension fund. And then obviously when you retire or when you reach the age of pension, then they give it. Now in that situation, the ruling is that there is no zakat on the previous years. So you don't have to give zakat on that. Okay, so when you get the £20,000, you don't have to give zakat on the previous years. And the third situation is where the employee voluntarily himself gets involved with either with the work-related pension fund. Like he didn't have to, but the work offered him that, okay, you could do pension with us, or like he gets involved with a third-party pension, like all these Aviva and all these other companies and stuff. So in that situation, for scenario number 3, he will have to give zakat in the previous years. So when he does receive the lump sum, when he reaches the age of pension, then he will have to give zakat on the previous years. That makes sense. Everybody agree with that? So what I'm trying to say is that, for situation 1 and 2, where the government took it out or the employer took it out, you don't have to give zakat. But for situation number 3, where you put it yourself in the pension, then you will have to give zakat on that.
How do you work out the full amount, total amount for the previous years? Suppose
you just have to estimate in a way. So just say if it's I don't know, just say this pension you started when you were, say, 25 years old,
Okay.
and at 65 you're getting, say, quite a lot of money.
So,
So you just
suppose
like-
every year he
Yeah,
put
just take-
1,000. So every year that
Yeah, you just have to like put a figure like, say 1,000 you put in, so 2.5% of that.
1,000.
Yeah, so
Alright.
of that, so you just like add it, then you just deduct it from the, so however much you,
It's lots of money.
yeah, it would be a lot of money, yeah. Okay, any other questions or?
You know, like scenarios